Hello, Howell High School U.S. government students. This is Mr. Talberg. I'm excited to have the opportunity to teach you this course this semester. I just wanted to spend a little time taking you through this opening page from the U.S. government online course. I'll do this regularly. I will use screencasts regularly. I'll use them to share many lectures and things like that. But for this one, I think it's really important that we're all on the same page and you have a comfort level with how the course will work and look. So I'm going to just take you through the various tabs and links and things in the class for this first unit. If you have questions, please always send me an email right away. I have not used Schoology much yet. You're the first group I've used this with, so we can also use the messaging features that are embedded in Schoology. I believe that's what this will help us to do as we move forward. So this is your landing page for U.S. government. These weekly announcements will change each week to be current. So you can see here, we are right now doing the welcome message / video. You will find my contact information in here as well. And I will use what I'm calling a roadmap for each week, so you sort of know what to expect in one place for the week, and then you'll find the other the assignments and discussions and things that go with that when we get into the units. You can see there is a calendar over here, so this kind of tells you what is coming up. So these are some of the things I'm going to ask you to do in that first unit. You'll always find those there. So if you get confused, you're not sure what to do, that's a pretty quick place for you to take a look and see what is due for a given week. And we'll worry about timelines and deadlines and things a little bit more as we move forward. In here, you will find course information. So if you see, I will click on this, and that has information about me, just some of my background here. I listed some office hours there. Really, the way this will work for the most part is if you need something, send me an email or a message, and I will do my best to work with you to answer the question, get it resolved, whatever we need to do. And then again, I just discussed this, the ways to contact me. I do want to focus a little bit on the pacing guide. So if you're not sure what it is that U.S. government is as a course, this tells you. Hopefully at this point you've completed Unit 0, which is kind of how to do online and making sure that you know how to ask for help with anything personal or otherwise that you may need. And then the rest of this just takes you through the different units that we'll cover throughout the course of the semester. This is kind of outlined by the state of Michigan for us, and we will make sure we do our best to cover especially the big items that the state of Michigan expects you to learn in an intro to U.S. government, or sometimes what we call a civics class. We will start this week with these philosophical foundations. We won't get stuck on that. I want to make sure we get to some of the, we want to have time to focus on things like what your rights are and how our government actually functions and works. But to make sense of that stuff, you do need a little bit of background on where all these ideas came from in the first place. For me, these two tabs are not always that effective, as you can see there. So just be aware, sometimes you have to go back here. The previous and next tabs don't always work that great. And then the syllabus kind of describes what the course is like if you want to look at the details. I listed some resources we will use throughout the course of the semester. We'll use others as well, but these are some of the big ones. We're going to use iCivics this week. I need to get to know Khan Academy a little bit better before I use it too much, and Landmark Cases is one of my favorite sites for Supreme Court. And then All Sides Media is a great place to look for identifying bias in the news, and I'll take you through that probably next week when we get to try and tie some current events to some of the things we'll cover. This is how you'll be graded. Grading is going to be a little different in here. I'm not going to get into that too deeply right now, but essentially you'll be doing a lot of discussions and sort of project type things, whether they're podcasts or creating YouTube videos or whatever. So rather than give you traditional grades, I'm going to kind of give you feedback using this system. But I do need to give you a traditional grade. So this just kind of tells you what we'll enter in the grade book. So if we do a class discussion online, and I think, man, that was a great comment, I'm going to give you a 4. You showed advanced mastery of that. What will show up for that discussion in the grade book would be a 100, so on and so forth. So this just kind of describes for you how I'll be evaluating your work, giving you feedback. This just shows you how that converts to your grade. At the moment, I'm going to try and keep you on pace. So we're going to plan on things being counted as late. I do need to have some learning to do, so it may be that we'll go more self-paced. Right now, I'm thinking of each week as self-paced, but the course as a whole is having deadlines. So in other words, by Friday of a given week, I'm going to want you to have all the stuff in that week done. We may change that a little bit, but for now, let's plan on keeping up by the week. Otherwise, I'm worried that you or potentially I will get a little bit overwhelmed with backlogged work. So that is your syllabus. It's right there anytime you want to find it. And then here we have Unit 1. So this will change. So I'll add Unit 2 when it's time. Unit 1 will stay there for those of you that have to go back and complete anything. And I'll kind of give you a highlights of the unit. So what I want to accomplish this week, and Unit 1 will be really week 1, but this kind of, we just think it's a little bit better description than saying week because then you get confused which week you're on. So we're going to do these 4 things. I want you to know how this course works. That's what I'm trying to help you do right now. I want you to make sure you're comfortable. Again, that's part of what I'm doing right now. And then we'll get into some of the actual content this first week. Don't worry about these 2 things right now. These are just kind of landing spots for things we'll do throughout the semester. You can always do a Q&A, but the best place to do those questions is probably just sending me an email, or you'll see in some of the things embedded. So I will click on Unit 1. And this is how a unit will look. Now, it'll look different from unit to unit depending on what I'm going to ask you to do or learn, but I'll always start with what I'm calling your roadmap. So you click on that, and this in one place tells you everything that you're going to do for this unit, in other words, for this week. So what I'm calling your exploration, that's the stuff that this unit is made up of. So it might be things that you read, it might be things that you watch, it might be a simulation that you do, but that's kind of where you're getting content, right? That's where you're getting the material that we're going to cover. And you can see here I added the screencast that you're doing right now. Create is kind of what you'll do with that stuff. So I'm going to ask you to do a couple things. So this is, I have create, you could think of that as do. Sometimes it'll be sort of worksheet-y type things, but moreover, it'll be things like discussions and other stuff that we do. And then you'll always have some kind of evaluation, and this one is real straightforward. I'm just going to ask you in 25 words to tell me what you learned. So this is kind of a landing place where you can sort of see all in one spot what the week will look like. I may break this out more day by day. I try to do that with that calendar, but we'll kind of see how this goes. But you may see this change a little bit to be more specific. But for now, this is what you can expect. And then after that, all the stuff that is in that roadmap will be right here. So I'm going to ask you to go in here and tell me a favorite quote you like. I posted one myself by a band called the Avett Brothers. This is your first real government-related task. So you can see here it's just a discussion. So I'm going to ask you to say what you think the purpose of government is. There is not anything right or wrong here. This is just what do you think? Why do we have governments in the first place? There's a lot of stuff here to help you think. And then this describes for you how I will grade or evaluate your comments. They will be evaluated, but not based on right or wrong, just based on you demonstrating that you are thinking deeply about the topic, in this case, the question. You'll just post those right there for everyone, including me, to see. And then this is a more traditional assignment that you'll do. So this will take you to, that's a little confusing. This will take you to a reading. This is from a resource I'll use all the time called iCivics. So this is just some kind of historical background on government. You'll read this, and then I list it as a separate assignment, but essentially you will then do what, this is kind of like a worksheet, but I call it an activity. It really should be helping you to think about what you just read. So I know sometimes you hear the word worksheet and you just think that's mindless. Hopefully you will be using your mind and thinking about what you read and then using what you think to um, complete that work. And like I said, that is, oh, that was all right there. And then the Unit 1 assessment is literally is right here in 25 words. Explain why governments exist and one thing you thought about that you hadn't thought before. So you can click on that. Sorry, a little slow. You will enter your answer here, save it, and then that'll go straight to me. So in a lot of ways, this is kind of a little bit like Google Classroom, but it has a few more features that Google Classroom doesn't have. So that is it. I hope this helped a little bit. It'll become more clear as we go through. This first unit I use kind of as a learning experience, so don't get too frustrated if things are confusing. We'll do our best to make everything work for you. And again, if you have questions right away, let me know and I will do my best to respond. So it's really good to get in to this course with you. I look forward to the semester. I really love government. Hopefully that comes across online like I hope it does when we're in an actual classroom. Take care.